Hey everyone, it's me Megz, and I am back with another video, y'all. And this video is my top 10 tips on how to recover your hair. Okay, if we are experiencing damage, thinning, all of the things, these are the top 10 things that I avoid when it comes to my hair that has always worked, and I highly suggest that you try out or even think about it if you're experiencing damage and thinning. These could be some of the things that you're doing that you may need to avoid. So let's get into it. So I started my very first hair journey in 2008, and a lot of these things that I'm going to mention still work for me to this day, especially when I go through my ups and my downs. So these are the things that I've avoided and stopped in order to maintain and get healthy hair and repair my hair. So number one, over manipulation. I know us girls, we love to change our hair, okay? But on a hair journey to recovery, it gets boring around here. It gets boring, girl. But it's gonna work out in the long run, because the reason why you don't want to over manipulate in your hair, and what is that? Just doing a lot to your hair, just always eating, okay? And being that your hair may be fragile if you're on the very beginning stages of your hair journey, so your hair may be weak, and may be damaged, and may be breaking. So with all of those things, you don't want to do too much in your hair where it will aggravate that even more to where the damage and things like that progress. So we want to leave our hair alone. Let's start there. Leave it alone. Leave your hair alone. Number two, a big one for me is heat. I avoid heat as much as I can, especially right now being that I am recovering my hair. So I try to limit my heat to like once a month. And when I say heat, are you using high heat on your hair to the point where it's like it's getting fried? And we don't want to do that. We want to avoid heat and limit the heat as much as possible. And if you are going to use heat, make sure it's low heat. We don't want to use 450 degrees on our hair, you know. And I know it's silk press season, and I know we love our clip-ins, but we must kind of like chill out from all of that too. So definitely minimize your heat use, curling irons, wands. If you do feel like you want to use those heat tools, that's why I love wigs. So I get the look without risking the integrity of my hair. Tight hairstyles, okay? And that could be like a ponytail, pulling your hair back a lot and it's tight. Make sure if you do wear like a protective bun like I do, make sure it's nice and loose, you know, because tight tension styles also create breakage and can lead to traction alopecia in some areas. So tight hairstyles, that could be tight braids, that could be tight anything, really. Anything tight, okay? Anything that you can think of tight. No, that's why I don't really wear braids, because my hair is fine and my hair likes to break at any chance it can get. So anything tight or hanging from my hair, it is tight. It's just, you know, cause for disaster for myself, okay? I did have braids probably like one time. I think was it like 2018, 2019, and they were beautiful braids. I love the braids, but I could only withstand wearing them for like a day or two, because it was just really, really tight. So if you're noticing you're having tight hairstyles, that could cause breakage at your nape, that can cause breakage at your hairline, your temples, all of that, your crown. Just avoid anything tight that's pulling, okay? I will say this is probably a big one. Products that have drying ingredients like alcohols. That's like your spritz, that's your hair sprays. And in conjunction with using those kind of products with heat, no. Your hair will not thank you for it, okay? It's gonna be like, why? It's gonna be like, oh, you know. So you don't want to use products that have heavy alcohols, because that dries out your hair, okay? It'll dry it out and it'll cause what? Breakage. It's gonna want to snap and pop. So I typically try to avoid any like heavy spritzes, other than special occasion when I just like have to use it. So I rarely use those kind of products, only when like absolutely necessary. But 100% of the time, I'm not using any products that have alcohol in it. So that's like stylers, edge controls, spritzes. We love our spritz too, especially with these molded styles that are in with these ponytails. Be careful, okay? Be careful. Like once every blue moon isn't gonna hurt you or your hair, but just be mindful of making sure that isn't something that you're doing often or a lot, especially if the goal is to retain hair health and, you know, get healthy hair and retain length too. Next, hair glues. Okay, hair glues aren't really our friend all the time. Okay, it's not our friend all the time, because it has like a mini damaging effect, especially like some of the quick weaves can cause some damage if we're using glue, glue in tracks, glue for wigs, you know, that may that glue may catch on your edges, and you know, when you're removing that glue, when it comes to lace fronts, it can start to pull on your hairline and cause that kind of breakage to the point where it may not even return that hair. So I would just really be mindful of glues, because I know we like to be laid like we like, but go glueless sometimes. And sometimes, you know what, I really do not care if my lace is showing, you know, because I'm worried about the integrity of my hairline and hair. I am not putting glue on all the time unless I just absolutely have to, but it's not something that I do often. So I don't use glues. Any kind of gluing of tracks in my hair, that will cause some issues and thinning and all that kind of stuff. Just try to avoid it if you can, and maybe limit it to, you know, special occasions. And another one I would highly suggest is, if you are relaxed, don't relax your hair anything before 8 weeks, because that also causes a lot of issues when it comes to relaxed hair specifically, because you don't want to over process and overlap your hair. And relaxing my hair after 8 weeks was one of the very first things that I started doing in 2008 that I noticed made a great difference as far as the density of my hair. And I noticed back in 2008 when I started relaxing my hair after 8 weeks, that's when my hair started to thrive the most and my damage started to reverse itself, because over relaxing my hair, relaxing too soon, caused me to have breakage and thinning to the point where my hair would just never retain length, and my density was super low back then because I was relaxing too often, using a lot of heat, using grease, and then heat on top, frying my hair, y'all. There are so many things that we may be doing to our hair and we don't even realize why we are not having the results in length retention and health, because we're just kind of we just don't know. We just don't know. I know I touched on this before, but tight braids, especially when it comes to our wig wearing. I know I said it before. Those tight braids underneath wigs and tight braids for sew-ins. I know sew-ins work really well for a lot of people. It just depends on what your hair needs and what it can tolerate and take. But anything tight when it comes to that kind of stuff that will pull on your hairline and pull on your nape or any area, you kind of want to just make sure nothing is too tight as far as those protective styles. Because protective styles are great when they are great, but when they're done correctly, yeah, but when they're not, no, it can be just detrimental to your hair, okay? So just be mindful of that too. Another big one is the kind of tools that we're using. Are we using really tiny combs to rake and rip through from root to end? You kind of want to more so focus on using wide tooth combs and gentle brushes and gentle combs and working our way from the bottom and working our way up versus just ripping from here. So those are major things when I first started my hair journey that I got rid of in my routine that made a major difference. Just the kind of tools that we're using, okay? Don't use those skinny rat tail combs to detangle your hair when we need to be using detangling brushes and wide tooth combs and dimming brushes and things like that. So that's probably one of the easiest things to replace in your routine that will make a great difference with your hair care. And also the kind of brushes that we're using to slick back styles too, right? So that's a thing, because I changed out the kind of brushes that I was using. I was using these plastic bristle brushes. Yeah, it worked to get that slick down look, but I noticed it was causing some damage with the front of my hair, and I actually made that switch a few years ago because I noticed that. I was wait, my hair is trying to break with these kind of brushes, you know? So I actually changed, and I'm using a much softer brush now. So if you do need to use brushes, make sure they're really nice and soft and are really gentle to where it doesn't feel ow, that hurts. Heavy gels. And I know this is probably a big one for me because I love a slick down edge look. I actually have minimized me using edges. I mean, me using gels, that is, gels and edge controls, because some of those gels and edge controls have harsh ingredients like alcohols in it. So even with me on this current hair journey, because for me, the front of my hair is an issue and it's very fragile, so I try not to even pull my hair back often to where I would need to use gel. And avoiding these kind of gels and edge controls, because I know it's really popular to have this kind of look too, but just try to limit that, especially if you're having issues. It's just kind of do it in moderation, which is what I personally like to do. And especially if you have thinning edges, you probably want to stay away from edge controls and gels altogether for a while until you start to notice improvements. That's what I would highly suggest. Don't put on any heavy gels anywhere on your hair, okay? Just no. So y'all, all of those things are some of the things that I stop doing or never do when it comes to my hair in order to have the best possible results when it comes to hair health and recovering my hair. So feel free to comment in the comment section below some of the things that you're avoiding when it comes to your hair in order to maintain and repair and retain your hair length. I would love to read that to see if I can learn some things too. So let me know in the comments what you're doing in order to get your hair back right on track. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.